So students, we have already learned about the ecosystem, the various type of components in the ecosystem and the various organisms present in the food chain. Now today I am going to discuss about food chain. What do you mean by food chain? Food chain is the feeding interaction between organisms or different populations in an ecosystem. It describes the sequence of energy from one population to the next. So, a food chain therefore starts with a producer. Our producers are the autotrophic plants. They introduce solar energy into the food chain through photosynthesis. Producers are eaten by herbivores, which are known as the primary consumers, and the carnivores form the secondary and tertiary consumers thereafter. Thus, in a food chain, different organisms of an ecosystem, plant and animals are linked together by the nutritional requirements. There are different types of food chains based on the trophic levels. So what are they? Let us discuss few. Now a food chain basically consists of 3 steps that include the producers, then come the primary consumers that are the herbivores and the secondary consumers thereafter that are the carnivores. But a few food chain have 2, 3, 4 or 5 steps even. So each step represents a trophic level. Let us discuss first about the 2-step food chain where it has only a producer and a herbivore, that is the consumer. In a 3-step food chain, it has producer, primary consumer, that is obviously a herbivore, and then the secondary consumer might be a lion or any other carnivore. In a 4-step food chain, it will start with the producer, that is a grass. Then it will go further to primary consumer, maybe an insect, that is a herbivore. Then this herbivore, that is the primary consumer insect, will be eaten away by the secondary consumer, that will be a frog, a carnivorous animal. And then it will be eaten further by a tertiary consumer, which may be a snake or a hawk. So there are even 5-step food chains. 5-step food chain, it will start with the producer obviously. Example, suppose grass. It will be eaten away by the primary consumer, the insect. Then thereafter the insect will be eaten away by the secondary consumer, the frog, which is a carnivore. The frog is further eaten by the tertiary consumer, the snake. And further the snake will be eaten by a quaternary consumer, which will be a bird, that is a peacock or a hawk, that is the carnivorous bird. So, more than 4 consumers in a food chain is unusual because beyond the 3rd consumer level, very little energy is left to be transferred to the next trophic level. Therefore, most food chains have only 3 to 4 steps. When any of the organisms in a food chain dies, it is the decomposer that decomposes this dead body into simple organic and inorganic compounds. Bacteria and fungi are the decomposers. They are called the saprophytes or saprotrophs. They are considered to be the final consumers of the food chain. They are responsible for the return of nutrients from the biotic world into the abiotic world. Next, let's discuss about terrestrial as well as aquatic food chain, which are based on the habitats. Terrestrial food chains occur in the terrestrial ecosystem, maybe a grassland or a forest or a desert. Aquatic food chain occur in pond, pools, lakes, rivers and oceans. An aquatic food chain starts with planktons. These are microscopic organisms floating freely on the water surface. Planktons are again classified into 2 types, zooplankton and phytoplankton. Zooplankton are the microscopic animals found freely floating on the surface of the water, that is the protozoans. They are primary consumers of the aquatic ecosystem. While the phytoplanktons are the microscopic aquatic plants, they form the producers of the aquatic ecosystem. So, what may be the steps of the aquatic food chain? It will start with the phytoplankton, the producer. Thereafter, it will be proceeded by the zooplankton, that is the herbivore. Then the further zooplankton will be eaten by the small fishes, which is the carnivore. And these small fishes can be eaten by a big fish, that is the next trophic level in the aquatic food chain. What are the significances of a food chain? Food chain provide a pathway for the transfer of energy from one tropic level to the another tropic level. They provide information about the living components of an ecosystem. The food chain indicate the relationship and interdependence among different organisms in the ecosystem. They provide information about the movement of toxic substances through various tropic level in an ecosystem, and that is called biological magnification. So I'm talking about tropic level here. So what is a tropic level? Tropic level are the steps in an ecosystem at which transfer of energy takes place from one organism to the other. Here you can see the tropic level of a food chain. The tropic level starts at the producer level at the base. Further you can see the tropic level increases further with a peak. The tropic level starts with the producer and then it ends with the tertiary consumer. So all living organisms form one or other tropic level in a food chain. So in a food chain, the producers that are at the base of the tropic level, the herbivores, they form the second tropic level, the carnivore, they form the third tropic level, and the top carnivore form the fourth tropic level. In any food chain, there are 3 to 5 tropic levels, not beyond that. So here you can see the simplest food chain. I am giving an example of the grass, which is eaten away by a deer, which in turn is eaten away by a lion. So in this food chain, there are only 3 tropic levels: the producer, herbivore, and the carnivore. There is the primary consumer and the secondary consumer. While I am giving another example of the grass being eaten away by an insect, which is further eaten away by a frog, the frog further eaten away by a snake, and the snake is further eaten away by a hawk or a eagle. So here you can see there are 5 tropic levels, isn't it? Now let's look into food web. So what is a food web? The network of several interconnected food chains is called a food web. Various food chains in an ecosystem do not operate in isolation. They operate in the form of a network of food chains. One organism may obtain its food from different sources and in turn may be eaten up by different types of organisms. So for example, I am here giving an example like a cow eat grass, a cow also eats the plant products. Even you see a hawk eats frog as well as a snake or a rabbit or any other small animal. So the hawk is not confined with any one food. So every organism may have alternative pathways for the flow of energy. So the food web also starts with producer and ends with the top carnivore. Grass is consumed by rabbit and further rabbit is consumed by a fox. So grass is also consumed by grasshopper, which is consumed by frog, and frog is eaten by snake and snake by hawk. So here you can see in a food web there may be several interconnected food chains. So here you can see there are so many animals which are interconnected together in the food web, which are eaten by other animal, and these animals eat some other animals as food. The next topic in today's video is ecological pyramids. So an ecological pyramid is a graphic representation of the numbers or amount of accumulated energy at different tropic levels in a food chain in an ecosystem. Ecological pyramids are of 3 types: pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of energy. So first discuss about the pyramid of number. The pyramid of number shows the arrangement of number of individuals of different tropic level in a food chain in an ecosystem. Here you can see the base of the pyramid are formed by the producer, and at the top of the pyramid the highest level of consumer is there. The pyramid of number indicate that the number of plants at the base, that is the producer, is very large, and they form the base of the pyramid. They are eaten by the rats, which are fewer in number, and further these rats are eaten away by a hawk or a carnivorous bird, which is only few. So you can see the pyramid of number is decreasing as it is going further in the top. Next comes the pyramid of biomass. Biomass is the living mass of organism of a food chain that present at any time in an ecosystem. This pyramid indicates that the decrease in the biomass at tropic level from the base to apex. The biomass of producer, that is the plants, is the greatest. Thus you can see the biomass is decreasing as it is going further in the tropic levels. So the next is the pyramid of energy. It indicates that the total amount of energy contained at each tropic level of the food chain. It also tells us that each tropic level loss of energy and material takes place as the transfer of energy is not 100% efficient. At the producer level, that is at the base of the pyramid, the total energy available is more than at the highest tropic level because of the loss of energy from one tropic level to the other tropic level. So what is 10% law? This law was put forward by Lindsman in 1942. According to this law, only 10% of the energy entering a particular tropic level is available for transfer to the next tropic level. 1000 joules of energy falls on the leaves of the green plants. The plants have only 1% efficiency, so that 10 joule of energy is trapped by them to produce chemical or food energy. According to 10% law, the only 10% of the 10 joule of the energy is available to the next tropic level. That is only 1 joule. The remaining 9 joule is lost in the environment during the transfer of food energy and respiration of the herbivore. Again, applying the 10% law, we can see that the 10% of the remaining 1 joule is only 0.1%, which is available to the third tropic level, that is for the tiger or any flesh-eating animal. So the remaining 0.9% joule will be lost into the environment. Because of the reduced energy available there in the next tropic level, there is a small number of consumers at the higher tropic level. So hope you have understood this 10% law. So what are the characteristics of the energy transfer? The flow of energy is always unidirectional. The energy that is captured by the autotrophs does not revert back or return back to the sun, and the energy which passes to the herbivore does not come back to the autotrophs. As the energy moves progressively through the various tropic levels, it is no longer available to the previous level. So dear students, this was about today's topic. In the next video, I will discuss about the biological magnification of harmful chemicals and what happens when we add our waste to the environment, and thereafter we will also discuss about the classification of waste materials and how to deal with these waste materials. Stay tuned with me. Thanks for watching the video. Take care.